Welcome to Movie House Cinemas. Popcorn? Yes, please. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie. Reclining chairs? Don't mind if I do. Action, thriller, romance, we got it all. Discover the cinema today. Movie House Cinemas, home of the movies.
Good evening, and welcome along to another edition of Rob and Elliott Tonight. Coming up on the show, we'll be chatting to the daughter of music legend Glen Campbell. Debby Campbell is going to be with us.
I didn't ever see myself singing Dad's songs, so I didn't know, like now in shows I'm doing Wichita Lineman and other songs that I never would have. So I'm going to have to go in and do another album.
We'll also be chatting to Ireland's First Lady of Country Music, Susan McCann, is going to be here.
I always say I was lifted from the kitchen sink and put in the studio in Nashville with all the top recording musicians. It was unbelievable.
We'll be chatting about the taboo subject of hair loss with Bridgeen King.
It was such a taboo subject, as I say, and nobody ever spoke about it. So, now it's starting to, everybody is just starting to come out with it. If they're suffering from it, they're not afraid to talk about it.
We'll be finding out about a brand new art trail with artist Kathryn Callaghan.
This is West Strand, Portrush, and I don't think there's anybody in Northern Ireland that doesn't have memories of West Strand, Portrush, from the days of Barry's, from the fish and chips, the ice creams, picnics on the beach with sand in your face, and wind barriers, of course. So Portrush, it's very special to all of us, isn't it?
One of Ireland's best rock bands, the Coronas, are back with a new album that comes out in September, and we'll play their current single for you. And we'll have music from Jordan Lively. But as always, let's begin the show with this week's top quirky news stories. To help us take a look at these, the one and only Kim Kelly's here. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and you?
I'm very well. So what are we talking about this week? I had a whole load of exciting things.
There's lots of exciting things. Library books.
Right.
I thought I'd start with a real thriller.
When was the last time you were in a library?
Today.
Really?
Yes.
Well, of course you would be, because your office is now in a library, but yeah. Do people still use libraries these days?
They very much do. Going into the library where my office is, it's great. If you're not going to the library, get back in there. They have free newspapers, they have tea and coffee.
Really?
They have really good books that you don't have to pay for.
Right,
It's like a revelation.
Yeah.
I used to love it whenever I was a kid. I loved going to the library, but I went back in today and I was like, this is brilliant.
Did you ever steal from the library? Did you ever have a library book at home that you never took back?
That's not stealing, it's borrowing, but leads me to my first story. So, a library book that was borrowed from Orkney Library 47 years ago.
Right.
And I think it was March 1977, a mysterious somebody, came in and borrowed a book, and it was one of those like how-to books. It was how to build a canoe with reinforced glass plastic.
Right, okay.
So they borrowed that book, and then somebody was doing a house clearance, time moves on, and they brought the library book back in person and said, I found this library book. But they told them actually to keep it because the library had gone digital probably in the 90s.
Yes,
and they didn't have any record of it anymore. So, but they didn't ever find out, did they ever build that canoe?
Yeah. Or imagine if they had to find the person for doing it, the money going back all those years.
Do you remember back in the day it was like 8p a week or something?
Yeah.
So how much would it be now?
It would have mounted up to something.
And I wonder how much things have changed in glass reinforced canoe building, if anybody out there knows.
Or do you think there's anybody out there who's actually built one of those canoes?
I'm pretty sure my dad's built a canoe.
Really?
I need to get on to him. Right, whenever I go home today, I'm going to ring him and ask him about the updates in glass reinforced plastic canoes.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
I think that's a good story.
It is a good story.
I like that.
Isn't it? Right. We're moving on to books of a different type now. We're talking about the dictionary, aren't we?
Yes, there's
and
some new
words that has made it in. Yeah.
I love this. So this is the Cambridge Dictionary. as opposed to the Oxford Dictionary. I didn't even know there was.
I didn't know there was
I didn't know
difference.
there was.
Yeah.
But anyway, there is. There's the Cambridge Dictionary. So they've got some new words. One of my favourite words has made it in, and it's not like one word, it's two. The ick. The ick. Now,
how do they describe this in the Cambridge Dictionary?
The feeling you get when you begin to intensely dislike someone. You know, because the ick's kind of like this. That.
Yeah.
That's the ick. And I think it does sum it up well. I know it's one of those words that young people use a lot.
Yes.
But it's a great word because, you know, you can be friendly with somebody, or it kind of happens with boyfriends, doesn't it? Or people, you know, you have a romantic interest in. One minute you like them, the next minute, the ick creeps in. And once the ick comes, there's no going back from the ick.
Ah, right, okay.
Now, the next word I really liked, it's boop.
What?
So that is whenever you press onto someone's nose or onto the nose of an animal and go boop.
I do that to Mia.
That's
So
called
that has actually made that into the dictionary now.
That's called
I boop her
booping.
nose.
You boop her.
I boop her nose.
You've been doing it already. You've been booping people.
Yeah.
And that's made it into the dictionary.
We learn so much by having you on this show.
I know.
Really,
Well, I'm in
really do.
education, aren't I?
We really do. Let's have one more. Let's talk about Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Come early.
It's come early. This week, Christmas happened. I know, well, weather was obviously great, you know. So Christmas has happened in Bridlington, which is in East Yorkshire. It's a seaside town. Now, it does a really good turn in the summer months, like a lot of seaside towns.
Right.
And the council who run it, they've probably got their lessons from councils here. Anyway, they decided, I know what we'll do. Let's have Christmas to show the holiday makers what Christmas is like here. Which, as if they're going to come back for Christmas.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit odd, but you know,
It's
like
very
councils
strange.
do
Yes,
odd
they do,
things.
yes, yeah.
So they decided to run Christmas. They called it Bridmas. And they put the Christmas tree up. They had like the lights on, carols, food, the works. And it went very well. But I don't know whether people are going to come back at Christmas. We must check that, actually.
We must check
Let's
that
check
out.
back
Let's
to
find out
see how the
next week.
ratepayers' money in Bridlington. If you're from Bridlington, please call in.
There we go. Right, we want you on the show. Kim Kelly, as always, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Right, time for some new music, and one of Ireland's finest rock bands, the Coronas, are back with a brand new album which is called Thoughts and Observations. That album comes out on the 27th of September. The current single also features Gabrielle Aplin, and it's called That's Exactly What Love Is. Here is the Coronas together with Gabrielle Aplin.
I'll start with sorry, and please believe me. Kills me to see you cry. Can't stand that look in your eye. And if I gave you one thing, it was my best impression of someone you loved, but who wasn't enough. No, who wasn't enough.
Well, we're not done talking, so why are you leaving? Just run off to your friends. I'm sorry, I can't pretend. Now you're even hurting.
Of course I'm hurting,
You seem unfazed.
completely broken.
'Cause even when we sat down, I tried to put you at ease.
That wasn't easy for me. Putting someone else's heart above your own, it's unselfish. Putting someone's heart above your own, putting someone else's heart above your own. That's what love is. Putting someone's heart above your own.
That's exactly what love is.
That's exactly what love is.
That's exactly what love is.
That's exactly what love
You're
is.
so selfish.
Well, I'm not trying to be
You can't even look at me.
me. I tried to do the right thing at least.
And even now, you have the nerve to write this. And guess what
Right, after the break, we'll have music from Ireland's First Lady of Country Music and find out what happened when I caught up with Susan McCann earlier this week.
Heading to the North Coast, the Jet Centre in Coleraine offers entertainment for everyone. There's an 8-screen movie house cinema with all the best movies, 10-pin bowling, a massive arcade, soft play for the wee ones. Outdoors, there's a mini fun park and gem mining, plus an 18-hole floodlit mini golf course. Rain or shine, there's something for everyone here at the Jet Centre. Find out more at thejetcentre.co.uk.
He loved his old rocking chair. You would always find him there, smoking his pipe and rocking off to sleep. I'd run and jump into his lap, wake him from his daily nap, and tell him secrets he would always keep. The old man on the porch with the sun going down, with the little girl beside him that makes his world go round. Forever in my heart there will always be the old man on the porch and me. He was a man with callous hands, lifted up his old milk cans. It seemed to me they weighed 1,000 tons. He was up before the break of day, chopping wood and making hay. He never stopped until the day was done. The old man on the porch with the sun going down, with the little girl beside him that makes his world go round. Forever in my heart there will always be the old man on the porch and me. Like summertime leads to fall, time passes for us all. True enough, the winter winds will blow. Although the years slip away, his memory will never fade. It follows me wherever I may go. The old man on the porch with the sun going down, with the little girl beside him that makes his world go round. Forever in my heart there will always be the old man on the porch and me. The old man on the porch and me.
So it's always good to see Ireland's First Lady of Country Music, Susan McCann, who joins us now. Susan, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very well, thank you. Now, last time I saw you, we were doing a little bit of celebrating. You got a big surprise.
I certainly did. I'll never forget it, I swear. You took tears to my eyes, Robin Elliott, and you never let on to me. But anyway, everybody else seemed to know about it except me.
A Lifetime Achievement Award.
You know, there's lots of good things about growing old too, Robin. It has its advantages as well as its disadvantages. But yeah, it was lovely. We had a great day and I couldn't stay over that. And I wished I had an appointment the next day, but I wished I had been able to stay over because the crack was mighty. Yeah. we just had such a wonderful time, and all the girls from Unique were there, and we just had a great time. And I had my friend Marion Quinn with me, and who was a very close friend of Rosemary's, when Rosemary used to come over to Ireland, God love her. And yeah, we had a great, wonderful day.
And it was Local Woman magazine who gave you that award.
Absolutely. They just do so much, really, for we entertainers and business people, and they're a real good magazine, Local Women. Really good.
And it must have been great to spend a day with all those inspirational women and hear some great and some very emotional stories as well.
I know that some of the nurses, oh my God, it would take a tear to your eye. Yeah. But it's wonderful to see those people being awarded. Yes. It really is. Yeah. You know, they don't get awarded half enough, really, for the work they do.
And you know how important nurses are. We talked about this on the Christmas show, but last year, of course, you had a big health scare.
And in fact, the nurse that's dealing with me, Nurse Fiona, she got an award very recently too for her work with the Macmillan nurses. And boys, dear, do they look after you? It's just unbelievable. Yeah, and thank God I'm good. Didn't have to have treatment so I'm wonderful, thanks be to God.
And you've been back out on the road, and it's been quite a busy tour for you.
I finished last week in the marketplace in Armagh, and we had a full house, and it was lovely. And I had my 2 granddaughters sing with me, and sure, I had a great time.
And are you encouraging them to go into the business, or letting them make their own minds up?
Let them make up their own minds, but I know neither of them will go into the business. Sinead wants to do medicine, and Laura is art. That's all she wants to do. She wants to go to Edinburgh and go to a university there that are the tops for art. She's a brilliant artist, brilliant.
And they do have amazing voices.
Both of them have. They are. Sinead probably more would be wanting to do a bit more than. Laura's just happy to be with her granny and singing and doing the harmonies and all that. But Sinead's she's doing quite a bit on her own. Yeah. So as I said to her, she can always, when she's at university, she can always help herself to get a few pounds and to pay for all the things that students do at university.
And of course, you're always somebody who's very supportive to all of the up-and-coming country singers.
I think it's great to see all the young ones coming up. And there's a lot of young girls coming up, which is great. There was for a while there that it was all young fellas. But, you know, I often say myself and Philomena and all the old country singers, we can't live forever, you know. So it's good to see the girls coming up, like Claudia Buckley and Cleona Hagen. They're all doing good, you know. And
what about when you started out? Were your family very supportive of your career choice?
Yeah, my dad was, yeah. Well, I don't know whether it was a career choice or not. It was just, I was married with 2 children before I started to sing professionally. I sang in pub groups and all that. But it was just another opportunity. My husband was studying accountancy at the time, and we were in very small money, and we had a mortgage to pay, and so that's how it came about, really. I never thinking that it would have gone the way it did, but I was lucky.
And Dennis has been by your side all these years?
53 years now, coming in September. Yeah, that's a long time.
It is, yeah.
I know. He was tall, dark and handsome when I met him.
What happened to him?
And I suppose I was a bit taller too when he met me. It's wonderful the way the years take their toll. Wonderful, yeah.
And looking back over the years in the music business, you've had so many great memories, from sellout tours to working in America to having #1 albums.
Sure, we've been all over the world, really. You know, just never would have happened had it not been for the country music business. It was a wonderful business to be in, and I have wonderful, wonderful memories. And that's what life's all about when you come to my age, having lovely memories, you know.
And would you like to go back to Nashville at some stage?
I would. I would like to go back to Nashville just as a tourist again, to see what's happening there. Yeah, I would, you know.
Now, Nashville was always very good to you, and somebody else who was good to you was Porter Wagoner, who of course was the guy who discovered Dolly Parton.
I know. And he did good for me too. He my first album that I recorded in Nashville, he produced it. So that was good too. Gave me great ideas, and it was wonderful. Yeah. And he was a lovely man. Another, God rest them, their soul, him and Tom Peck, who was the producer, and Yeah, the engineer, but they were just gentlemen, you know. I was just I was only 27 when I first went to Nashville, and I was taken from the kitchen sink and put into I really was, when you think of it. I hadn't been, you know, I had nothing. I was very young. I hadn't travelled or anything much at that stage, and I, you know, literally, I always say I was lifted from the kitchen sink and put in a studio in Nashville with all the top recording musicians. It was unbelievable.
And was that scary?
It was scary. Yeah. It was very scary. But I had my homework done before. Every song that I was recording, I had the first time I went, I recorded 24 songs in 2 albums in a week. But I knew them word for word, inside out. I knew them because I had practiced them. I had done nothing else, only listened to them, and so I knew exactly what I was doing when I got there, so as I wouldn't make a show of myself.
And what about people like Porter? Was he somebody who was full of good advice for you?
They were, surely. I'm sure at that time the studios in Ireland weren't what they are now. I mean, you wouldn't be going to Nashville to record now. In fact, someone would come over here to record. Our studios are so good. But at that time, we were very limited here with what we had. But when I went to Nashville, all the musicians were there in the studio recording live. Like, I mean, that wouldn't have happened here at the time. It was wonderful. I was standing in a singing booth, and I could see Hargus, Pig Robbins and Lloyd Green and all the people that I read about in the back of, you know, Tommy Wynette albums and Dolly Parton albums. And I couldn't believe I was in the midst of them. It was great.
And then eventually you would meet a young rising star in the country music world. We're talking about Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks, exactly. I met Garth Brooks I was doing a festival in Florida, and he was the main act on the huge arena that we were doing the shows, and I was on during the day. I had 4 shows a day to do, and he was on an evening show, and boys a dear, was he good. He wasn't even known here at the time, but I thought he was brilliant. And I come home and I said to Erlinda, and I got a photograph taken with him, and I said, you're definitely going to hear more about that young lad. And boys a dear, did we hear.
And especially here in Ireland.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So you've just finished your tour. What's next for you? Have you got time off?
Well, I'm doing a time off. I'm doing a cruise now with Mike Denver coming up in September. And I'm going with Jimmy Buckley and Declan Ernie. They do separate trips out to Spain. So I'm going with them in October. And next week I'm doing the Stradbally Steam Festival, which is a huge festival down near Portlaoise direction. And then I'm finished then till Christmas. I don't have much more on till Christmas, and I have a few concert dates around Christmas time that I'll let you know about.
Well, do let us know, and of course we'll get you back on the Christmas show again this year.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, Susan, as always, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
I know. Thank you very much, Robin, for having me.
Tell me about the good old days. Sometimes it feels like the world's gone crazy. Yes, your grandma will take you back to yesterday, where the line between right and wrong didn't seem so hazy. Lovers really fell in love to stay, stood beside each other come what may. A promise really something people kept, not just something they would say and then forget. Families really bowed their heads to pray. Daddies really never went away. Whoa, whoa, Grandma, tell me about the good old days. it progress, but I just don't know. And Grandma, let's wander back into the past, and I'll paint you a picture of long ago. Lovers really fell in love to stay, stood beside each other come what may. A promise really something people kept, not just something they would say and then forget. Families really bowed their heads to pray. Daddies really never went away. Whoa, whoa, Grandma, tell me about the good old days. Whoa, whoa, Grandma,
And there she is, Ireland's First Lady of Country Music, Susan McCann. Always good to have Susan on the show. Now we're going to be talking about the taboo subject of hair loss with Bridgeen King right after these.
Here we are on the north coast, where sporting legends are made. He needs this putt to advance to the next stage, but can he do it? The crowd are holding their breath. Can he cope with the pressure?
Dad, would you take the shot?
Well, and welcome back to Robin Elliott tonight. We're talking about the taboo subject of hair loss next. I'm chatting to Bridgeen King, who's been a hairdresser for over 30 years now. And she's decided now to specialise in hair loss. And we'll find out more because she joins us in the studio. How are you today?
I'm good, Robin, thank you.
So we'll talk about your business in a second, but you've been involved in the hair industry for a long time now, haven't you?
Yeah, so I'm 30 years in the hair industry. Really love my job, and then 10 years ago I decided then to go into the more trichology end of hair loss, as I was seeing more and more of this in the salon. It was such a taboo subject, nobody wanted to talk about it, so I decided then to educate myself and train and specialise in this work.
What was the training like? Was a lot of training you had to go through? I know you spent a lot of time in Scotland, didn't you?
Yeah, so I trained in Scotland. I went over there to train with a Professor Douglas Barr. He was very much the guy to train with. It was very hard to find somebody to train in this work, and he took me under his wing, and I had been training with him for maybe over 3 years. Then I branched on into going into the trichology end of things, so there was a lot of exams, and then I started to specialise in bespoke wig making. I done it in Brighton with Adrian's, and yeah, so here I am after all this training. Yeah, so I've now been in this field of work for just 10 years.
So we mentioned there it's still a pretty taboo subject, but something like 8 million people in the UK every year suffer from hair loss, don't they?
Yeah, so it's a massive, it is so soul destroying. You know, I have lots of ladies who come in and they are finding their hair getting thinner, whether it's through age. Menopause is a big, you know, it does play a big part here in this.
Because automatically when you think of it, people just think about cancer straight away. They think about cancer patients, don't they?
Yeah, and I think this is what it was, you know, when you mentioned hair loss to anybody, they just sort of, you know, put it down to, oh, this, like it's a medical reason, have they got cancer, where it's not really. Like a lot of my work, like 50% of it might be, you know, bespoke wigs for cancer patients, but a lot of my work is for clients going through hair loss, whether it's genetical hair loss, whether this is down to nutrition, stress, even men. You know, a lot of young guys out there suffer from this. It's a real confidence thing with young lads, and it is quite genetical. So it was such a taboo subject, as I say, and nobody ever spoke about it. So, you know, now it's starting to, everybody is just starting to come out with it. You know, if they're suffering from it, they're not afraid to talk about it.
So can stress cause hair loss then?
Yeah, so it's very autoimmunity. You know, if there's something going on in the body internally, it does come out, you know, whether it's through like stress in the hair, you know, nutrition, like there's a lot of this at the minute, there's a lot of this fad with gastric bands, and like a lot of, I'm being presented with a lot of clients who have hair loss due to this because the body has lost the nutrition and then the hair is suffering as a result of this.
So it's obviously something that's quite traumatic for people, but quite traumatic for them to actually speak about as well. So if somebody out there is suffering from hair loss through whatever reason, what's the first steps they should take in picking up the phone to ask for help then?
Yeah, because it is such, you know, it is soul destroying when this happens. If your hair is thinning or your hair is becoming less and less and you're finding it more in the shower, you're finding it more on the floor, you know, I always say to my clients, go and get a full blood result taken. You know, you could be lacking in like iron, B12, you know, you maybe are losing some of this. So make sure that you get your bloods taken, and then you come to somebody like myself who's a trained trichologist. We'll have a look at it and then see where we can help.
What about the guys out there as well? Because I know if I started to lose my hair, it would be the scariest thing, the worst thing in the world for me.
Yeah, so a lot of guys do suffer with it, you know, and I always feel like with a lot of guys this is genetical, you know, if their father or their grandfather had like, you know, really lost their hair from a young age. It's a confidence thing with the guys, you know, if they're playing football or playing a sport, you know, the guys are taking the hand out of them on the field. So it really is good to come and see somebody, you know, the quicker you get it detected, the more help can be got there.
So what can you do then to sort us guys out if we need it then?
So if the guys come in, you know, we do put them on a hair loss program, whether that is down to good products. If I can't help them, I do refer them to a clinic where they do hair transplants. Like there's a lot of this hair transplant work going on in Turkey. I work quite closely with a clinic in Belfast, and I like to refer them to somebody that is very professional in this work. So yeah, it's letting them know that there is help out there.
And it's good to go to an expert like yourself, because am I right in thinking that your normal GP wouldn't necessarily know a lot about hair loss and about things going with your scalp and things like that?
Yeah, because as a doctor, you know, you're not trained in the medical field of scalp and hair, where as a hairdresser, you know, we are trained in scalp, knowing the different phases of growth cycles of hair. So we are trained and we are specialists in that field. And as a trichologist, you can go more in depth with the scalp.
Okay, now if people want to get in touch with you, you're based down in the Slieve Donner, don't you?
Yeah, so I am based in the Slieve Donner Hotel in Newcastle in County Down. Yeah, such a lovely resort. It's a private clinic that we run, so it's quite confidential, and yeah, so that's where I'm based.
And you also won the Best Clinic in Ireland award recently as well. That must be pretty special.
Yeah, so I have received this award in March. It was Ireland's Hair Restoration Clinic of the Year, so I'm delighted to receive this. After 10 years of hard work, you finally get recognition. So I'm very privileged to have received that award.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations on the award.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for coming in. Some great advice there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, still to come, I'll be chatting to the daughter of music legend Glen Campbell. Debby Campbell is going to be with us. But before all that, we're talking art and a brand new art trail that's going to take us all over Northern Ireland. Kathryn Callaghan is the artist, and she's going to tell us more because she's with us in the studio. How are you?
Excellent, thank you.
Good to see you. So talk us through this new art trail then. How did it all come about?
Okay, the art trail is essentially an exhibition of art of 10 paintings spread across 8 locations around the coastline of Northern Ireland. It came about as I started to explore childhood memories and places that I love from growing up in Northern Ireland and compiling this exhibition of 10 pieces, and then we thought, oh, it would be nice to locate the paintings in or very close to the places that they're depicting.
Ah, so all of these paintings then, they're very close to your heart then, the things that have special meanings to you.
They do, they do.
Okay, talk us through some of them. I've just lifted this one here. We all know that this one is Portrush.
Yes, this is West Strand, Portrush, and I mean, I don't think there's anybody in Northern Ireland that doesn't have memories of West Strand, Portrush, from the days of Barry's, from the fish and chips, the ice creams, picnics on the beach with sand in your face, and wind barriers, of course. So Portrush, I mean, it's very special to all of us, isn't it?
Tell us about the style of your paintings as well, because there's something very special and quite unusual about them. isn't there?
Thank you.
The way this is done, it's, yeah.
With my paintings, I don't use paintbrushes or pencils or any of those traditional materials or tools. They're all poured, so I'll work on the floor on an unmarked canvas and pour from a bottle or drip from a pipette. So it's quite contactless and free, with gravity helping make the painting.
So how does this happen? How did you know you could do this then?
Well, I went back to study art as a mature student.
Right.
I went to Belfast Met back a few years ago, and was sitting at the back of the class one day, and I just thought, oh, I wonder what I could do if I poured this ink onto the paper on the floor. It just happened to be there, and that was the start of the journey.
Wow, and you're doing it ever since?
I've been learning how to control the flow of the ink ever since.
So was art something you were always into right from a very early age then?
Yeah. As a little kid, I was always drawing everything I could see.
Brilliant, okay. But staying with the North Coast, I see down there Ballantoy Harbour that we'll all recognise as well.
Ballantoy Harbour, what a beautiful place. What a hidden little gem down that twisty, windy road. It's just so picturesque. So it was a pleasure to revisit Ballantoy Harbour to create this piece.
Brilliant, okay. Tell us about this one here. This is lovely as well. The Mountains of Mourne there.
The Mountains of Mourne, so that's a view from Murlock Nature Reserve in Dundrum. And it's the profile of the Mournes that is most familiar to me. So day trips as a kid, driving down the road from Cumber towards Newcastle, that's just the vista. And it just reminds me of those day trips.
Exactly, okay. So what else have we got then on the tour then?
Gosh, well, the tour starts from Bloody Bridge, which is just south of Newcastle.
Yeah.
So there I would have gone rambling as a child, bouldering as a teenager, and again with my own children. And then we go a little bit north to the other side of Newcastle, to that painting that you were just looking at, of the Mournes. And then we head up to Strangford Village. It's just at the mouth of Strangford Loch, up to Bangor Pier, on up then to the Glens of Antrim, and then Ballantoy Harbour, White Rocks, the viewpoint from Macra Cross, and then the Giant's Causeway, to Portrush, and to Benone Strand.
Wow. So when people are on this tour then, can they actually buy these prints then as well?
They can buy them online on our website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant. But give us the website details then.
It's kathryncallaghan.co.uk.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, as well as all these fabulous scenery, you do animals. I see some sheep and cows and things here as well.
Absolutely. Do a range of wildlife, local and further away, more exotic wildlife.
Brilliant. Okay. So what's next for you once this tour comes to an end then? Is there another project in the pipeline? Are you always thinking about ideas? Or?
Yeah, more and more recently. I'm drawn to the local landscapes, landmarks, places. So there might be something relating to golf coming up soon.
Ah, right. Due to the Open, obviously, yes.
Perhaps.
We have this fabulous Belfast backdrop. Is there anything you could do for Belfast then?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. Maybe all of the pubs.
Yeah, that would be fabulous.
Yeah, we'll go on tour.
Okay, so we've mentioned all the fabulous scenes, but tell us the locations where people can go and have a look at these then.
Absolutely. There's the Sleeve Donard Hotel in Newcastle, the Buck's Head in Dundrum, the Lobster Pot in Strangford, Guillemot Cafe in Bangor, Mary McBride's in Cushendun, the Fullerton Arms in Ballantoy, and the Bushmills Inn in Bushmills, and Arcadia in Portrush.
And they've got until the end of August, haven't they, to look at these?
Until the end of August, whole month.
Brilliant. And of course, all the details are on your website as well, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, lovely to see you. Thank you for coming in and bringing your paintings with
Thank
you
you so much for having me.
Thank you. Now, my next guest on the show this evening is the daughter of a music legend. We're talking about Glen Campbell, and we'll be chatting to Debby Campbell right after these.
Let the good times roll at Super Strikes at the Jet Centre. You can now book your lane online. We've got 14 bowling lanes and 4 mini bowling lanes. Plus we serve delicious hot food and snacks, or enjoy a cold beverage with your food after the game. Discover bowling today at the Jet Centre. Jet Centre. Entertainment for everyone.
Been 3 years he's been like this. He doesn't know his wife and kids are there. He just sits by the window and stares. It looks like rain, but he don't mind. It's sunny where he's lost in time, on that little farm where he was raised.
So that's a little clip of a song called It Looks Like Rain from Debby Campbell. Of course, is the daughter of music legend Glen Campbell. And I'm pleased to say Debby joins us now. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm a little tired. I just got home yesterday from a whirlwind 12 days of flying. So I'm off for a little bit.
Of course, because you're still working on the airlines as well, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yeah. I went to Rome, Nice, France twice, and then got home from Copenhagen yesterday.
So you must have one busy life, juggling the music and the flying as well.
And 8 grandkids on top of it.
Wow.
Got the great-granddaughter here all week with me, so.
Tell us about the song It Looks Like Rain, because it's been doing great business here in the UK and Ireland. It's been doing great on the Heritage chart.
Yay, I love that. Well, you know, when I recorded it, you know, Dad, of course, was in the home. He had Alzheimer's, and it resonated with me, you know, every time I go visit him, and a lot of the words just felt what I was going through, you know, so I decided to record it.
And that song also features on an album called The Way We Were, which is a collection of your dad's songs that you recorded. And when we think about your dad, he had this fabulous back catalogue, so it must have been so difficult to choose songs for the album.
Well, it was difficult, but I didn't ever see myself singing Dad's songs, you know, so I didn't know, like now in shows I'm doing Wichita Lineman and other songs that I never would have. So I'm gonna have to go in and do another album.
Now, right from you were very young, you got the chance to tour with your dad, and then in later years you would get to sing on stage with him. So that must have been an amazing experience.
I have got some of the best memories ever that are so dear to my heart, you know. And a lot of you see the pictures, and of course I've got a zillion pictures of us from touring, you know, but hopefully my kids will want them when I'm gone.
Yeah. Talk us through some of those fabulous photographs on the wall behind you there, because it really is a wall of memories. And there's one there from the Empire Theatre in Liverpool, just behind you there.
Yeah, a fan gave that to me because I guess that's no longer there. They tore it down. And then the one to the left, whatever, that's my grandparents on stage with Dad.
Right, yeah.
And then the one right on the, I don't know what is it, he's a beach boy. The one down below that picture, he's a beach boy. And then over here, me and him when I was like 18. And then of course, my grandparents again. I just have a whole wall in here full of.
Wow.
And rather than slathering them throughout the house, I just keep them in my computer room.
Now, over the years touring with your dad, you must have been meeting so many of the great music legends out there.
Yes, I surely have. Yes, I have. I have had gosh, like you said, a treasure of memories, you know. Joe Cocker, Cher, John Wayne, Elvis, so many.
Your dad's music touched so many people across the world, but you knew him as your dad. He was a granddad as well. What was Glen Campbell like in private?
Oh, just wonderful. I mean, my kids adore him, you know, they adored him very much. My boys played golf all the time with him. I'd let them skip school once a year to go out and watch him play in the Phoenix Open, you know, because he always played in the Pro-Am. So that was their skip school day. And they've got many, many memories also. And, you know, especially when we were in Branson, because, you know, we had the theater. And so we moved there. The bus would drop the kids off from school at the theater. We'd all have dinner together, and then they would go home, and then Dad and I would do another show, you know, so those kind of memories.
And when you were growing up, did you realize how much of a star he actually was?
I don't think so. Not that you know, I mean, when I would go spend summers with him in LA, he was always on tour. So I was basically with Billy and the kids, you know. It didn't come until I got a little bit older, like 17, 18, like when we were in England, and, you know, we were coming out of he was doing a BBC interview, and we were coming out, and like this horde of fans are running after him, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, you better get in here. They're going to rip their clothes off.
And then, of course, in later years, your father would end up suffering from Alzheimer's, and that must have been incredibly tough for you and your family to watch him going through that.
It was. It truly was. I was in denial for so long. You know, it's heartbreaking because you lose him twice.
Yeah.
Probably the hardest day besides his passing was I was visiting him, and I handed him his guitar, and he just picked it up, turned it around, looked at it, and then handed it back to me.
And I remember the first time that I heard the song, I'm Not Gonna Miss You. I mean, that is such an emotional song. And I actually remember shedding a tear the first time I heard it.
Wow. Yes, it was a truly touching song. Absolutely.
And again, it's a great way to raise awareness of Alzheimer's through that song.
Yes, very much so. I've even done some events. I did one in Manchester for Alzheimer's, and I did one in Dublin, and I love to do them, to raise money. They honored Dad here in Phoenix in April. I was the honorary chair, and they honored him, for Alzheimer's Association in Nevada and Arizona.
And it's great that your dad's music is being kept alive, especially at the moment with the Duets album, the Ghosts on Canvas album. I mean, you've got everybody on there, from Brian Wilson to Elton John, Carole King, Sting. It's a fabulous album.
It is. And, he never really got his due, I don't think, I mean, he's not even in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that's just like a crime, because he played on so many of those songs of all of those people that are inducted, So that's our mission, getting him inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And of course, people do forget that before he had his own hit records, he was working on records for people like the Beach Boys.
Yes, absolutely. The Monkees, Sonny and Cher, Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra, he played on so much of their tracks, So yeah, absolutely. He was truly a wonderful musician.
Well, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that has to happen.
Absolutely. I totally agree. We're working on it.
So Debbie, what's next for you then? Any touring? Because you've got to come to the UK and Ireland at some stage.
I want to. I definitely want to. Absolutely. I'm ready.
And what about any more recording? Would you love to do another album of your dad's songs?
I would, but I've been thinking lately, I really want to do a Christmas album, I love Christmas music, and Dad's that's the best Christmas album ever. And I'd probably do a few of those tracks, I think, because I'm always listening to him during the holidays. But yeah, definitely. I'm into, I'd love to go back in the studio and kick around another project.
And you're still going to keep up the flying for as long as you can? As
long as I can. I'm wearing down, I can drop down to like 2 trips a month if I want, and then I can just continue my going out and singing. And, I'm at that age where I can make it work.
Is there anywhere in the world you would love to go to that you haven't been to?
I'm pretty much doing it all. I mean, I'm sure I'd love to go to Egypt. Absolutely. Places like that. I'm going to Doha next week.
Wow.
I'm going to go ride those camels. Copenhagen was new for me. Nice, France was new for me. I haven't been to Naples yet, although I lived in Italy for 4 years, but I still want to go to Naples because that's the southern part of Italy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a few little, places I want to see. I want to see Croatia. I've never been there. And of course, I always love coming back to the UK. So yeah, it's since I graduated from high school, I have a love affair with the UK. Absolutely.
Well, Debbie, it would be great to see you back in the UK and performing here sometime soon as well.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And you have a wonderful day.
So there we go. That's nearly all the time for on the show this week. To play us out, we've got Jordan Lively waiting in the wings. And we'll see you back here same time next week. Bye-bye.
Come all young lads of Ireland, who would hear of a fair young maiden as she rode for to view the soldiers parading. They marched so bold, they looked so gay, their colours flying the bands did play, which caused young Mary for to say, I'll wed ye, my gallant soldier. She viewed the soldiers on parade, and they stood at their leisure. Young Mary to herself did say, oh, at last I found my treasure. But oh, how cruel me parents must be, for to banish me darling so far from me. So I leave them all and I'll go with thee, me bold undaunted soldier. But Mary, dear, your parents low, I pray don't be unruly, for when you're in that foreign land, believe me, you'll rue it surely. Perhaps in battle I might fall from a shot from an angry cannonball, and you so far from your daddy's hall, be advised by a gallant soldier. But 50 guineas in bright gold, likewise a heart that's bolder, and I'll live them all, I'll go with you, me bold undaunted soldier. So don't say no, but let me go, and I will face the daring foe, and we'll march together, darling, to and fro, and I'll wed you, my gallant soldier. And when he saw her loyalty, and Mary so true-hearted, he said, my darling, married we'll be, and nothing but death will part us, for when we're in that foreign land, God might stand a friend to Mary and her gallant